A few days ago on here, I covered the Mig Switch, a mysterious flash cartridge that has been announced to see a release early this year that will illegally allow users to play every Nintendo Switch game off of it. While this dubious device has sent shockwaves of excitement through the gaming community, moral questions have arisen beyond the ethics surrounding just piracy, as according to the Flashcart's official website, the Mig Switch is being developed and produced in the Russian Federation. The ongoing war in Ukraine has seen this country heavily sanctioned by the West, which has seen Russia strike back and take retaliatory measures, including legalizing intellectual property piracy against any company that has withdrawn from Russia and is from deemed unfriendly countries that support sanctions. With the Japanese company Nintendo gone from the region, from the Putin administration's side of things, this makes them a company that is fair game to plunder, with it being impossible for Nintendo to do anything to the perpetrators legally. However, if recent information that has surfaced online is to be believed, there is now a strong possibility that the people behind this product aren't Russian at all. So, with that said, I am Lady Decade, and this is the potential shady secret of the Nintendo Switch flash cartridge. Back on the 22nd of December, as covered on here previously, a mysterious video on X would surface, revealing to the world what we would later learn to be a Mig Switch, the flash cartridge type device of Nintendo's worst nightmares. Posted by a Twitter account called AfterTimeX, a lot of mystery surrounded this upload, with us not being able to identify the person in the video's sex, age or even skin tone, with the so-called beta testers' white gloves showing they could be anyone from Super Mario to Mickey Mouse to even Michael Jackson. It could be anyone showcasing this illegal device. Or could it? Now, this is where the tale takes a new, spicy turn. In previous posts, AfterTimeX has alluded that they are getting information through their so-called journalists digging around, and one of their followers allegedly sent them that questionable video. Other users of the platform have uncovered that this may not be the case at all, with it being heavily speculated that the AfterTimeX social media account is nothing more than a front run by the same people behind MigSwitch in order to get the information about the product out there. Ex-user Mike Heskian, a reverse engineer and InfoSec enthusiast from London, notes in his feed that, coincidentally, in early 2019, the AfterTimeX.com domain was purchased, and it has changed hands multiple times since. A further ex-user going by the alias of Wololo would screencap this shady behaviour online, stating, "Indeed, holy shit, that's quite incriminating," and raises the question, is it possible that AfterTimeX are just a front pretending to be a regular news site, but just hyping the Mig Switch? That wouldn't be the first time. This is basically what Max Consoles was. So this probably has you asking another question. Who were Max Consoles? Well, if you jump over to X, or Twitter as it used to be known, you will notice that they stopped posting in September 2020, but amongst their posts, it can be found that they too were breaking news surrounding Nintendo piracy. On the 16th of September that year, they tweeted about XOS version 3.0.5 beta, stating that it was fully compatible with a Switch firmware version 10.2.0 and a Super Mario 3D All-Stars, adding that this is another great day for Nintendo modders and that Team Xecuter is always on the ball when it comes to Nintendo. Clicking the attached link brings us over to where maxconsole.com used to be, with a replacement screen informing us that this domain has been seized by ICE, Homeland Security investigations, pursuant to a seizure warrant issued by the United States District Court under the authority of Title 18 United States Code Sections 981 and 2323. An admin for this site and spreading news and championing Switch hacking was a man known as Gary Bowser, who, if you recall my last video, Bowser is an ironically named gentleman who went to prison for serving as a member of a hacking group who was selling circumvention devices that enabled users to play illegal ROMs on both the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Switch. Official charges were conspiracy to circumvent technological measures and trafficking circumvention devices. while sharing the same name as King Koopa, being sentenced to prison time and paying Nintendo millions of dollars. Believe it or not, Bowser was not the ringleader of this whole hacking operation and mainly worked in sales and promotion of the illegal products. He was essentially the PR guy, whereas the most prominent members of the group behind the crime, Team Xecuter, continued to walk as free men. Max Luan, a 50-year-old French hacker who is believed to be the mastermind behind everything, was eventually detained in Tanzania but was released just weeks later after courts concluded that his arrest was illegal. Now living freely but as a wanted man in the United States, in an in-depth interview with Le Monde in the past, TorrentFreak.com notes Luan commenting on the situation with Nintendo, with him stating, "They hate me. I bet that in Tokyo they posted my picture in an office. We've always been pro-liberty, that's our mindset, to do what we want with the machines and for everyone to have access to them." Torrent Freak adds that the hacker does not see himself as a criminal, but instead simply a rebel who believes it's his duty to help the public take control of devices that they own. With regards to being the leader of a Team Xecuter, such a claim is backed by a plea agreement that Bowser would sign, but Luan still denies any involvement, with him believing Bowser just said that to reduce his sentence, commenting, "He pleaded guilty to things he didn't do in order to escape a life sentence. That's American justice." The press showed that Gary Bowser was living poorly in a tin shack in the Dominican Republic, while Team Xecuter, they are all millionaires. Not a fan of the FBI, Luan adds, "They're in the pay of large corporations, ready to destroy competitors by dressing up simple commercial disputes with criminal law." Hacking since the 80s and serving time in prison in the past, Luan concludes that, "Now serving time in prison would be hard because I take care of my father. I have a 16-year-old daughter and soon a second child. So despite being convicted of the Switch crimes, don't expect an admission of guilt from this man anytime soon." Obviously, all of which we are discussing is a previous Nintendo Switch criminal trial, which may have you wondering, how does this all feed back round to the Nintendo Switch now? Well, remember the X posts we mentioned earlier about the Aftertime X domain purchases? If you look closely at the Wololo screen cap, you will notice that its page would change hands to an organisation known as Brainstorm Network Incorporated, with a mail server connected to mail.garyopa.com, with Garyopa being the online alias of the infamous Gary Bowser himself. It is worth noting that Gary Bowser was recently released from prison after managing to get out early on good behaviour, so this raises the question of whether Bowser could be up to his old tricks again and terrorise the Mushroom Kingdom once again. Well, Mike Heskin alludes to this potentially being possible. He added on X with regards to Aftertime X in a series of tweets that, "Coincidentally, early 2019 is when the AftertimeX.com domain was originally purchased by James Cagney." You'll notice this is a trope where they use names of deceased celebrities from the early to mid-20th century, using the email address bigmoneytimex@protonmail.com. The domain remained inactive until the 3rd of September 2023, when Garyopa messed up the transfer and exposed his personal IP address. Searching for AftertimeX.com in any server search engine would do, but SecurityTrails.com is probably the best for seeing the full DNS history, which Gary is trying to mask by making it point to Mexico. You need to register for a free account there first to see any results. With regards to the sneaky Russians being behind this, Heskin adds, "Russian Federation, is that what we are calling Germany now? LMAO. Once you follow the trail to Italy, then US, then Panama, then Russia, stolen botnet domain, then back to US and then St. Kitts, dig just a bit further to find it. It's the same thing they did for TX, but with a Russian domain in the mix for the sake of their narrative, I guess." With all of this juicy gossip surfacing on social media surrounding the Mig Switch, Gary Bowser has sensibly stepped in and denied any involvement with the so-called Russian project. On Discord, he would blame his name being involved in a malicious DNS poisoning attack, commenting, I was the subject of the DNS poisoning attack on my name servers. I repaired the damage and changed all my passwords. But sadly, people will talk. Not what I needed just before Christmas, and also just a day after someone was threatening me via Skype, demanding I sent them $1,000 per month for the next 40 months, or they would leak a bunch of shit. I am not going to engage the trolls or comment on it. Distancing himself from this piracy situation, Bowser is now going to be paying Nintendo 25% of his wages for the rest of his life, with him only managing to give $175 to Nintendo during his time inside. Bearing in mind though that hackers usually tend to come back, even if Gary isn't involved this time around, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that other Team Xecuter members aren't involved and looking to be a thorn in Nintendo's side once more. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, a while ago I made a video that got lost in the algorithm on Nintendo of Russia being a complete dumpster fire, so subscribe and check it out. See you soon.